Hi, I'm David May, Director of the Indiana Institute on Disability and Community at Indiana University in Bloomington. I hope you're doing well today wherever you are in Indiana. I wanted to extend an invitation to you to participate in a very important conversation. A conversation important to individuals with developmental disabilities and their families in Indiana. For more than 20 years now, the federal government has made it possible for states to provide services to people with disabilities in their homes and communities rather than in segregated centers, groups' homes, and the like. This has been done under the Medicaid Home and Community-Based Services waivers. Indiana has made progress in supporting people in community and integrated settings. We have brought more than 2,000 people onto waivers in recent months. Supported living and employment are becoming priorities. New approaches are emphasizing community, employment, and quality of life outcomes. Yet we know, despite this progress, there is much more to be done. Waiting lists are still long and continue to grow. We need more and improved community and family supports. It is difficult to find and keep qualified staff and personal assistants. Staff turnover is an ongoing problem. And we have a grim economic condition in Indiana and across the country. It is important, however, that we still move forward. We have an opportunity. Peter Vispikos and the Division of Disability and Rehabilitative Services in FSSA have asked us here at the Institute to start a conversation about the future of waivers in Indiana, especially those waivers handled by DDRS, the Developmental Disabilities Waiver, the Autism Waiver, and the Support Services Waiver. FSSA wants to hear from stakeholders, providers, case managers, people with disabilities, family members, advocates, and others. Anyone with ideas about how to make Indiana's waivers the best that they can be. We hope this conversation includes you. Whether you are a person with a disability, a family member, whether you have a waiver or not, whether you're a provider, an agency director, or have some other stake in the waivers and in supports for people with disabilities in our state. We at the Institute are pleased to have been asked to gather this information. We will not actually be writing the waiver ourselves, but we will work to make sure that decisions about Indiana's waivers are as informed as possible. We need some guiding principles to move forward, no matter what new waivers might look like. It will be important to ground them in ideas and principles that we can agree on. And then apply those ideas to all of our waivers, whether it's the DD waiver, the Autism Waiver, or the Support Services Waiver, or whatever waivers may be called in the future. We have a start on this. In 2006, DDRS established a Vision 2010 on direction and principles. Vision 2010 included 4 particular goals to create a more equitable, person-centered support system for people and their families in Indiana. These principles can form an early foundation for decisions about waivers in the future. Let's look at those 4 first. 1, a commitment to self-advocacy and self-direction. 2nd, a commitment to quality integration and quality outcomes. 3rd, a commitment to work first in meaningful days. And 4th, a commitment to dignified risk and risk management. Based on these guiding principles from Vision 2010, we also need to know what other kinds of principles and ideas to base the conversation about waivers. What should we base this on? We have additional notions that have come from conversations around Indiana in the recent months. And perhaps we can gain some measure of consensus that these are good guiding principles going forward. So for starters, let's begin with the Vision 2010 principles and move on from there. A foundation of self-advocacy, self-direction, and person-centered planning. An emphasis on employment outcomes. An emphasis on community outcomes, such as having a meaningful day, getting out of the house, having a circle of friends, seeing family regularly. A focus on quality outcomes and promoting dignified risk and risk management. We can add to that list based on conversations around Indiana right now. We can add individualizing supports rather than providing group programs, supporting the use of technology solutions, including a range of supports for families, for family-centered planning, and for support for aging parents. We can include support for future planning, for permanency planning, such as finances, trusts and wills, future living arrangements, and so on, when parents are no longer able to care for their adult child. Allow for flexibility over time in services and supports, adjusting for needs over the lifespan. Allowing for flexibility over time in cost, that cost can increase, cost can decrease based on circumstances and how situations change. We want to hear what you think about these ideas and how we can improve the waivers that we have in Indiana. We need your ideas about solutions, about ways that Indiana can improve the waivers that we have or create new waivers, and how best to put them in practice. We have established a website for your ideas and thoughts. You will find a link to a survey where you can write us with your ideas and your answers to a few questions. If you prefer, you can fax or send by mail your ideas to these questions. So, here are the questions. First, what is working now with the waivers in Indiana? How well do the current services and supports promote the kinds of principles and ideas I described a few moments ago? We also want to know what's not working with Indiana's waivers. What other supports are needed? If supports are being provided but not working very well, how can it be changed so the services are better? Are there supports that are missing that we need to add to a waiver system in Indiana? How can we make these best work? And third, we'd like to have you think in terms of solutions. What can we change? What can we create to make supports and waivers work for individuals and their families in Indiana? Thanks for your time. Thanks for being part of the conversation. There are links on the screen to lead you to the survey where you can make your ideas known.